And this is the mother of all videos, the mother of all altercations. It belongs to the Merseyside Pensioners Association, who've gone viral across the entire world with this. Take a look.
I don't know how you've got the guts to come to this city after you have been being interviewed and doing columns for the Sun newspaper, after the way we as a city were abused, and after the way we as a city, the Hillsborough victims, were abused by that paper, and you've come here. Secondly, you lied to us about uniting the party. I'm still a Labour Party member, and you've expelled and witch hunted in the most vicious way I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been a member of the Labour Party for a long, long time. You have absolutely said you had 10 pledges, you were going to carry on the Corbyn legacy. And ever since, you've done nothing but distance yourself from the ideas which tens of thousands of people joined the Labour Party to support. And all you've done is feed into the Tory ideology of not supporting strikes, of carrying on with the privatisation of our health service. You're doing everything to feed into a Tory victory, because we may as well have a Tory if we have a person like you who lies to the party. It's dishonesty.
Thank you very much.
And our health service is going right down the pan. And you have a big responsibility, the working class people of this country.
Can you move back, please?
Excuse me. You're just, don't be getting physical with me.
I'm not touching you. Can you move back then, please?
You're touching my breast.
Can you move back, please?
Now move back.
No, can you move
I want
back,
to go to the toilet.
Toilet's over that way.
Now that is courage. That's what you call speaking truth to power. Mind you, although he sat there like a block of wood, like a big stewmer, without a flicker of understanding or reflection visible, at least on his face, I can't believe that man's a Queen's Counsel. I wouldn't pay him to represent me on a parking offence. But the very next day, he took condign justice to its nth degree. He expelled that old lady, that battling pensioner. He expelled her from the Labour Party after decades of membership, because he knew he'd been filmed being called out accurately and powerfully by an old lady. And she's with us now. Not so old, actually, Audrey. You're a glamorous pensioner, I've always thought. Thanks for joining us on the mother of all talk shows. For those that are not amongst the millions that have now watched that video, what did it feel like?
Well, very, very satisfying, might I say. I think we just, at the end of the day, I said what a lot of people wanted to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I mean, was it premeditated? Did you know he was going to be? Did you know he was going to be there? Did you have a script? It didn't look like you did.
No, I knew he was going to be there, but I didn't have a script. I definitely knew I wanted to tackle him over the Hillsborough. I wanted to tackle him about the witch hunt. I knew I wanted to tackle him about his betrayal of the Corbyn movement. And I was very angry that the tactics he's adopted since the dishonesty of him. And I just really wanted to be as powerful as I can, but yet I did know he was going to be there. I found out, I can't say how, but I did find out. And the people outside were members of my Pensioners Association. I'm the secretary of the Merseyside Pensioners Association, and I'm so proud of what we did. I'm so proud of all the decades of experience of activism, that were there that day and behind us. All our members were in support of that action. So, yeah, it was great. It was great to do it, and it was great to start the floodgates, because it really has started the floodgates, hasn't it? People have gone absolutely berserk.
It really has. It really has. But did he have nothing to say? He didn't look like he looked like a particularly henpecked husband getting a big row off his wife. he was stunned. He seemed to be struck dumb.
Well, don't you think people like him don't think they have to be accountable to anybody? And he certainly wasn't going to be accountable to a member, an old woman in Liverpool. I mean, if it had been from the home counties, he might have said, oh, sit down, have a glass of wine. He might have done that. But he didn't know how to handle what I said at all, because it was all 100% true. And as far as saying anything, I did mention the anti-Semitism, which isn't in the film. And I did mention the fact that I'd won a libel case against the Jewish Chronicle and so on. And he was just struck dumb. And I said, I've sent you a letter. And the only thing he said is, well, I'll read it. And that was it. So in effect, he said nothing. And the letter was about my suspension, because I'd been suspended that many times. Well, I don't know how many times, I've lost track. But they just do nothing. There's the Ford report. Just read the Ford report, the games they play, the lack of transparency, the lack of fairness, the absolute criminality from somebody who's supposed to be, top legal brain. He's doing it deliberately, isn't he?
But considering how much money they spend on spin doctoring and so on, they all handled it so very badly. Everybody knows, it's rudimentary, that if you've got someone, particularly a woman, particularly a pensioner, who's giving you a row, the last thing you do is ask a goon to manhandle her, but that's what happened on the video.
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking to a lawyer because I want to know that man's name. I want to know his name, I want to know what role he was playing there, and I want to know what right he had to manhandle me. And a lawyer's going to be getting in touch with him. So I haven't had the time to get started yet, but I certainly will. And I have been offered help, by lawyers. I mean, I've been very lucky that I always seem to get some good support behind me when I need it, and I've never had to pay anything out in legal fees. And I've had some good victories in my life against injustice. And I think it's just because I've always fought very hard and very determined.
You've had many victories because you've got bottle. You are a courageous person, and you know that what you're saying is unanswerably true. But why are you wasting your time in the Labour Party, Audrey? Now that they've booted you out, it's time to call that a day and look for something else now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Can I say, George, I am a trade unionist first and foremost. I am a trade unionist, and that's where the power lies at the present time. When the war was raging against Iraq and Afghanistan, and they were trying to build up to a war in Iran and so on, I was absolutely 100% committed to the anti-war movement. And I still get involved. I organise demonstrations and public meetings, and we had Tariq Ali. I organised Tariq Ali to come down just before Christmas. So, it's not one thing or the other. I'm involved in a local community group for a local garden that the council wanted to hive off and build on. And we fought and won that. We put bees on there, and we have it for the community now. There's not just one battle to be had. And the Labour Party has never been the real vehicle for change. It was only because we had Corbyn, and when you think about it, George, you were witch hunted. When you were witch hunted in the Labour Party for the absolutely tremendous stand you took, you were a giant. Well, you still are, but you were a giant the way you took on Tony Blair and the way you led that movement. One of many who led that movement, but you were. And you were witch hunted. So we've all had our space in the Labour Party and battled. And, you know, there's life outside the Labour Party. The Labour Party is, you know, a bit of a desert now. The democracy's gone, the leadership's gone, and we only had it for a blink of an eyelid. We only had it while we had Corbyn and policies that were worth fighting for. To be honest with you, I just I've stayed in there to fight for those ideas, because you fight for them wherever you stand, wherever organisation you're in.
Well,
you fight.
I've absolutely no doubt that you will continue to fight, and I hope to be fighting alongside you. Maybe we can team up. Audrey White, thanks for joining us on the mother of all talk shows. Hats off to the Merseyside Pensioners Association, and a big raspberry to Keith Starmer, you coward, you big girl's blouse, sending a goon to manhandle a pensioner woman in Liverpool. We don't hold with that kind of thing in great working class cities. Keir, you just made a very big mistake in the way that you handled that.